Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle here with you, watching some storms out there across far eastern and southeastern Oklahoma. I was eating some dinner, and then looks like a tornado warning was issued for a little while there around McAllister, actually, excuse me, around Lake Eufaula. And that had like a funnel with it about halfway to the ground. And some of the comments I saw, don't know if it actually touched down, did any damage. If it did, it'd be very, very light, very weak. So that's good news there. We do have another storm out, and it's the same storm, but it's in another part of the state, and it continues to kind of intensify a little bit. So we're going to show that here real quick. So this is out here in southeast Oklahoma. It's going to be east and southeast of Eufaula. This is that same particular storm system. This is the circulation center just northwest of Quinton. So if you live in the town of Quinton, there's going to be a very strong mesocyclone circulation up to your north and west, by about a mile northwest of town. That's moving in here, and it's been kind of intensifying a little bit as far as the circulation center goes. It's kind of interacting with a little bit of a boundary that's kind of stretching across this area from Stigler. Kind of does something like this, kind of meanders. Let's see, I'll use the blue line to kind of signify cold front or outflow boundary. It kind of does one of these things. So with this in play, it may try to produce a tornado here on the inside of this particular notch. The probability of a tornado is about 27%. Earlier, I think it got up to about 34% when it had the tornado warning on it before, and it at least had a funnel. So if you're in Quinton, again, there's not an official tornado warning yet, but you might want to be thinking about getting into your shelters at least till the storm passes over, which shouldn't be too much longer. It's quickly moving off to the east side of town. Matter of fact, the new update just came in. There's an enhanced reflectivity core over the town itself. Let's see, the velocity couplet signature would be about still about a mile and a half on the north side of town. So that would be where the mesocyclone would be, the wall cloud, and potentially a funnel out of this. Just kind of sitting here watching it for a minute just in case it does produce a quick tornado. But I want to bring you up to date on that and then kind of show you the big picture elsewhere over the state. And you can see there's storms that continue out across. So let's see, let's go over here to northeastern Oklahoma around Fort Smith. Muskogee. These are just some good old-fashioned thunderstorms. There isn't any immediate tornado threats in here, although the algorithms are still pretty high in that area because the wind shear has increased a little bit overall, and so I think the algorithms are kind of tripping on that. But if I go over here and I look, they're behind the surface boundary, the outflow boundary, so they're kind of in a more stable surface environment. So the algorithms aren't going to be able to pick that up. They're picking more like looking more like storm structure, so they're going to go a little false positive in that area. But anyway, some good storms out there, a lot of lightning. So if you live out here in eastern Oklahoma, that's what your big threat is. It's probably going to be some pockets of straight line winds, a lot of lightning with this, and occasionally you're going to have some hail up to maybe about an inch in diameter. Otherwise, the hail's pretty minor in those storms. This is the biggest one down here in Quinton. Now, if you look at Oklahoma City, we should have some light to moderate rainfall that continues across parts of the town, but it does get a little heavier once you get down toward the Norman area. If I look down here, the heavier round goes from Purcell to the east and then back out here west toward Chickasha and Apache. This is non-severe, by the way. It's just showers and thunderstorms. No reports of any wind or any hail with that. These little green boxes indicate where we've had a lot of flash flood watches and warnings in a store over the last few hours. These are some slow movers and some very heavy rainfall, so some pockets of brief flash flooding. If you look at the rainfall amounts estimated by Dot the Radar, we're up around 4 to 5 inches here in the blue shading between Edmond and Guthrie. So that's one of the hardest hit regions. That stretched from around Lake Arcadia, pretty much on the north side of the turnpike into Creek County. And then also back up here toward Hennessy, between there and Kingfisher, some very good rainfall amounts. Then here in the city itself, it varied all over the place, anywhere from 1 to 2 inches from Norman through the heart of Oklahoma City. So there's going to be some quick runoff on that. And I noticed some of the video shots from the news stations. There are a lot of intersections, of course, that typically flood or have traffic or construction that flooded, and You just want to avoid those deep roadway areas just because you can stall your vehicle or damage the components of it, that kind of deal. And then if it's fast moving water and you're near a creek or stream, you don't exactly know what's going on with that. So that can be some bad news. So we really tell you to turn around, don't drown when it comes time to flash flooding threats. But right now, the only potential tornado threat is down here in southeast Oklahoma. No warning on it yet. Just sitting here watching it, and it started to tighten up on its circulation from before. It's still mostly outflow dominant, but there is a tight core back in here that actually might contain a rain wrap tornado. It'd be very weak, but that would be the case. And it's again north of Quinton. So again, it's not an official warning, but if you do live in that area, north of town, it's kind of out in the middle of no man's land, but that would be where that would be located. And then eventually heading up toward Kinta, and eventually McCurtain, and that'll push into LaFleur County, and then back into Arkansas. This path here is a little southeast, but it does have Red Oak, LaFleur, Fanshawe, Worcester, and Kinta all in the next 20 minutes roughly. So it's a pretty fast moving storm. So this is the rotation signature the radar product is generated, this little green area where it's got the circulation center that's still pretty broad. It's not quite tight yet, and it may not, but that's where it's currently located. But since I'm kind of looking for tornadoes today, that's the only thing that is anywhere close to maybe even getting a funnel out of it. Other than that, the storms today, like I mentioned in the live cut-in around 1 o'clock, it wasn't exactly a perfect setup or great setup because of the fact our winds are out of the southwest. In addition to that, at the surface, and in addition to that, we had a little bit of a capping layer trying to come in on more of a southwest wind aloft, trying to build that cap back into western Oklahoma. And that kind of put the kibosh on anything developing out in that area. And so we're kind of on the edge of the cap lid here in central Oklahoma for the metro. And we had an outflow band that came in too early, too soon, and it undercut the storms. And because of the cap, we could not get a fresh storm to ride south of that boundary and then ingest it. Instead, they kept acting like a mini cold front to break the cap to get storms to go behind the boundary. So last night I told you it's going to be a complicated, messy forecast, and it was not clear cut on the outcome, other than the fact we're going to get your standard, typical, pockets of flash flooding and large hail and damaging wind kind of a deal. So that's what we ended up with today. All right, so I'll watch this one for a little while longer. For a minute there, it looked like it might do something. Now it's kind of broadened out a little bit more. It's more RFD. There's still a circulation center in here, though, but no one will be able to see it because it's completely rain wrapped. So I'm going to hang on just for another minute or so. If this does not do anything tornado-wise, obviously I won't be doing any more cut-ins as far as severe weather goes. I do need to do a forecast update, though, for the rest of your upcoming weekend, so we'll do that. And we'll talk about what you can expect for Friday, because it does look like there still will be a few storms in southwest Oklahoma. And we'll see what the latest model data is on those. Right now they look like some elevated hail and wind type deals, but that may mess up some of your plans late afternoon, depending on the timing. They haven't been great at timing on this stuff, but we'll take a look at what the latest data says, and that starts coming in here in the next hour, and so about 9:30 we'll do a live cut-in for that. All right, so if you're watching here in Oklahoma and you're going, okay, where are we? We're in southeast Oklahoma. So this is southwest of Fort Smith, Arkansas, south of Muskogee, just east of McAllister, north of the town of Wilburton. This is the circulation center is wrapping up here just on the east side now of Quinton. And if I do look, right here, we do have a little bit better tightness and a better influx in wind speeds. It's still not all that impressive, but a little bit of another mezzo forming in this particular location. An old mezzo probably wrapped back around here and is cut off from the flow, so it's probably slowly trying to die. And we'll see if anything happens with that one in the next scan. Let me see where this is actually located. So, luckily for us again, it's over a bunch of farmland. Now there are little tiny houses, farmhouses around here scattered about, but most of it's over trees and open land. I always like to look at those just whenever we do have a potential tornado to see, what's in the immediate path and is it affecting anyone, that kind of deal. All right, so we still have 2 circulation centers. Basically, we've got this one here, and we've got an old one here now on the east side of Quinton. I doubt they're producing tornadoes. I think at most it would be wall cloud with a little funnel, just based off of Doppler radar. I don't have any confirmations in the field of anyone storm chasing this stuff, just based off what we can have with radar view. And we're looking at about 4,000 feet elevation. So we're kind of on the top end of where you could really detect a tornado via Doppler radar. It's usually best to kind of look at that column of air below 5,000 feet. So we're kind of on the upper end of that. But it would give us, an idea if it were to pick up speed on the data. Let's see, anything else I wanted to show you? No, I don't think that was it. So since this has become occluded, even if it were to produce a tornado, it likely wouldn't be visible. Plus, of course, it's also getting late. But speaking of late, just to switch gears for a second, great sunset coming up here, looking out west in Oklahoma City. Now that those storms are gone, so that'll be a nice little sunset for you. Ended up getting about, what'd I get? 2 inches, just under 2 inches at the house. It was raining cats and dogs. Probably, I think it was about 5 inches per hour rainfall rate, and that's ridiculous. That's how you get that quick, brief flash flooding, something like that. And so that was the case. Luckily, the storm started to move quicker rather than just sit there and stall out. That would have been a real bad situation for Oklahoma City. So I do have a report of storm trackers seeing lowerings in the Quinta area. Or it could be Quinta. I need to go back and look at my pronunciation of that town name. So I'm on to something. That was in the past tense, though, because, let me see. Okay, it's still there. We're about to get a new update from the radar. You can do it. Or maybe you can't do it. Come on, radar. Let me go a different one while I wait for that one. All right. This was more broad. It's a little higher up. The probability of a tornado was 43%. That doesn't necessarily mean much. Today I've been watching these probabilities all over the place. Alright, so basically I'm just kind of sitting here to see if this thing produces a tornado and see if the rotation intensifies. At one point, like, it was just about to do it, and then kind of broadened out, and then it kind of tightened up, and then it broadened out. So we're kind of in that yo-yo phase. And at least I got a confirmation of some lowerings. Lowerings, typically when they say that, they mean a wall cloud, is usually what that term refers to. All right, so it's still spinning like a top, so it should be a nice rotating wall cloud. Whether or not it's completely visible, I'm not sure about, but there are a couple of mesocyclone features, little mesos here. There's one here, and then one here, and they're both very weak and broad at this point in time. So what I'm going to do is just kind of keep an eye on it here for a little bit longer, but I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and you can expect to see a live cut-in around about 9:30, and we'll look at the latest data. We'll see if we can squeeze out a relatively decent Memorial Day weekend for you. I'm sure you might like that. I know I would. All right, we'll do that here a little bit later, but thanks for watching here on this live update of AT's weather as we cover severe storms out here in southeast Oklahoma. All right, make sure you guys keep my weather app handy down there. It will alert you if any of these storms do get out of control in case I'm not on the air. All right, we'll talk soon. Take care.